Hello everyone, this is Mozart. Bitcoin is almost $100,000. We closed the last long trade in profit $95,000, and I set a new limit order just yesterday. Now let me remind you that I only have Ethereum among active trades. It also has a decent profit already, so all the trades are in the Telegram channel. Here, I basically just duplicate them, but I only provide them in Telegram. The link to my Telegram channel is in the description below this video. I am also waiting for a pullback on Solana, and the limit order remains on Bitcoin. The limit order for Solana is also in the Telegram channel. And by the way, many newcomers are currently asking where I trade. Many new people have come to the market. I trade on the Bybit exchange, which is the best exchange for the entire CIS market, particularly for Russia. The registration link is in the description below this video. There are also all the bonuses up to $30,000 on your first deposit, depending on the size of the deposit, of course. So the key question is how long this will last and where to wait, not even for a reversal of the global trend, which we will also talk about, but at least for a pause, some more or less significant correction. Well, let's discuss this directly. Yes, there will be many interesting metrics. You love them. I will try not to drag out the video. First thing we see here is the divergences with the volumes. Well, it is obvious that the volumes are decreasing with each new impulse. This is the first warning sign. First of the warning signs. Moving on. What else can we see here? Look. Let me show you what I wanted to show. What I wanted to show? Here we have long-term holders, that is long-term holder net position change, meaning their change in net position. Here, this green histogram shows that they were accumulating, and at the peak it presents the 30-day changes. They had a total positive balance among all LTH participants, those who hold Bitcoin for more than 155 days, of plus 470,000 Bitcoins. They are currently actively unloading, and in the last 30 days, they unloaded $294,000 Bitcoin. And this unloading is accelerating. However, we also have inflows from spot Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of money is coming from there. Here is the breakdown of the inflows. Let me also select this directly, for example, the last 6 months. Here we see spikes in inflows. This is in Bitcoins. That is, for example, on October 30th, they bought a total of 12,500. Here they bought almost 20,000. Here they bought 12.2. Here they bought 10.5. In general, the inflows are strong, especially after Trump's actual victory. And until Nov 13, these inflows offset the outflows, the selling pressure from long-term holders. And now, here is what is happening. That is, around November 13th, we had net inflows for the month of almost 120,000 Bitcoin, while the outflows from long-term holders were 130,000, meaning the delta was around zero. But recently, this has accelerated. The difference is already almost 200,000 Bitcoins, meaning inflows for the month are 104,000, while outflows from long-term holders are almost 300,000 Bitcoins. A similar situation was observed in March, although there the discrepancy was even more pronounced, meaning inflows decreased to 90,000 Bitcoins, while outflows were more than 500,000. So, the discrepancy was more than 5 times, and then the market could not withstand such selling pressure, and entered a multi-month very prolonged sideways movement. So now a similar picture is beginning to emerge. That the selling pressure is indeed starting to seriously outweigh the inflows. And considering this divergence in volumes that I showed you, I urge you to be cautious and not to invest all your money at the current levels. So, who is buying these Bitcoins? Who is purchasing them if the spot ETF can't vacuum them all up? It's simple. These are new people, new money in the market. So, here we have a diagram of the buyers who are showing activity in the market. I removed all cohorts except for the very newest ones. That is 3 cohorts, 24 hours, really very new, fresh. Day of the week and week of the month. And now, in overall activity across the entire blockchain, they account for 23-24%. That's a lot. In March, before the halt of this global trend, their activity was about 32%. The current levels are higher than they have been in the past, but we are gradually moving closer to our target. It's important to note that back in the year 2021, there was a significant divergence that led to their activity reaching a peak of over 50%. This was a remarkable event, as it marked a substantial increase compared to previous years. The divergence was driven by various factors, including market dynamics and external influences, which contributed to this peak in activity levels. More than 50% of the blockchain was fresh money within 1 month. So these are the main buyers. Hodlers, in simple terms, who may not have been shaved even once. These are people who heard in the news that Bitcoin is about to reach 100,000 faster and faster. Soon it will be 1,000,000. As we were told by Cathie Wood, Michael Saylor, Arthur Hayes, and others, and also the strategic reserve of Bitcoin, they rushed to buy. So we should keep this in mind. Therefore, in the short term, I urge you to be cautious and consider that the round figure of $100,000 is quite a serious benchmark. As is often the case here, the price can break through it with a squeeze, and the upper boundary of this channel as well. It can break upwards with a squeeze, I don't know. Around 102, 103, and quickly return back, maybe 104, right here to the limit order. For now, I won't move it. I want to see this limit order approximately there. It can break through quickly and return quickly. This scenario would be optimal here, and then arrange some kind of correction. A more significant one, to move around, to do it like this. Return somewhere around 90, and then go, well, maybe like this, and go through consolidation to a new phase of growth. Why to a new phase of growth? Why not to a similarly long chop as it was in March, and not to a reversal of the global trend? Let me explain why. And this is the second part of the video. First, this is the so-called unrealized profit, but not the usual one that everyone sees, rather adjusted for a concept like entities. With the entity, we eliminate all possible transfers within one organization. That is, large holders may have many wallets, and they transfer within them, which generally distorts public indicators and slightly skews the perception. I have deeper access through Glassnode. I see all these discrepancies and eliminate them. And this is the pure unrealized profit, which, by the way, has not yet entered the zone of euphoria. The zone of euphoria on this chart has always been reached, and this is the entire history of Bitcoin trading since 2010. When we changed the color of this curved line to blue, the so-called greed zone began. The pre-euphoria is the green zone. The green zone and the zone of euphoria is the blue zone, the zone where one should unload and flee the market. Right now, we haven't reached it. That is, we haven't even surpassed the value of March in terms of greed. However, as a rule, a reversal of the global trend into a bear market occurs either through divergence or through very, very strong extreme euphoria. For example, the year 2018, strong extreme euphoria, peak values, and here divergences through double euphoria. So far, we have had euphoria for, in my opinion, just one day. Yes, that little blue dot on March 13th, when Bitcoin first reached the mark of $73,000. There was euphoria for one day, and now we are just approaching it. So far, it is not present in the market. This is the first reason why this is not the end of the global trend. The second reason, I have already shown you this indicator. It is the number of days in a 2-week window. Long-term holders, the same LTH holders, spend their Bitcoins. Despite the fact that they are spending their Bitcoins, many long-term holders are not actively selling into the market right now. And out of the 15-day window, only about 12 and 13 days over the 2 weeks are these Bitcoins being sold. So, for now, the majority of long-term holders are waiting for higher prices. And, well, a similar large portion of them is spending, not waiting for higher prices. However, not everyone. For example, in March, all 15 days of the 15-day window, they were spending their Bitcoins, meaning almost all long-term holders, and it was like that for 10 days. Now it's not the same. Even close. The third reason is the MBRV ratio. That is, market value to realized value, which historically has been associated with an increased likelihood of profit-taking. At the moment when the profits of all long-term holders exceeded 350%, of course, in Bitcoin. That is 2.5 times. For them, this has always been the threshold above which they began to spend actively. And this threshold was crossed on November 11th. That is, according to the 2.5x indicator, their price was at the mark of $89,000, and for several days now, it has been trading above this mark. However, if we look at history, such a period of extreme profit can last a long time. And for example, in the same 2021, it lasted all the way from the end of November to the end of February. December, January, 3 months of extreme profit, and at the peak, their profit reached almost 800%. Not just 350, but 800%. Why couldn't it be the same now? Especially since we have just crossed into this zone of extreme profit according to the long-term holders metric. Even in the March peaks, it lasted longer, from the beginning of March to mid-April, until the Iranian strike. If we look at the penultimate cycle, there was actually a long distribution period from the beginning of May 2017 to the end of 2017. For half a year, they distributed this profit. So here, it is also seen only as the beginning, considering this metric that we have not yet reached the zone of euphoria in unrealized profits. The next metric, the same thing, just these eggs in profile, also the MVRV coefficient, but not by relative percentages, but by S, that is, by standard deviation. The same applies here. We see how the price has moved above one standard deviation, the red line just now, and is trading there for several days. But if we look at history, exactly the same behavior, for example, in 2021, lasted from the end of December to mid-April. So this could be prolonged. And in the period of the hot phase of the previous market, such behavior can also continue for a long time. But as a rule, there was still some correction, some pullback from this line, after which the growth continued. Right now, I am probably expecting something similar, a similar scenario, that we will see some more or less strong pullback, especially since there are already quite a few divergences. And after a certain consolidation, possibly by the end of December, beginning of January, we will continue this growth. This is just about Bitcoin for now. Altcoins are not included. I'll talk about altcoins a bit later. These are all the reasons why, in my opinion, this is not the end of the cycle. And yet I expect Bitcoin to go higher, at least around 110. So my target for the cycle was at the 110. We are already halfway there. I expect 110. May go higher, possibly. But for me, 110 is the optimal benchmark for now. Maybe 120. 110, 120 is where I find it hard to be convinced of anything higher. Bitcoin across all the channels I would definitely build. And then we'll see. But this is not so important for you. What matters to you is that this is most likely not the end. Even in the case of a strong correction, the party will continue. It's not as quickly. And about altcoins? Let's talk about altcoins. From my point of view, altcoins will pump, and they will pump like crazy. Not all of them, but many of them. Why? Look, this is the inflow of money into the entire system. So here is the net change in the money supply, which as of yesterday, November 21st, amounted to $83 billion. That's a lot. Look at the blue line below. This is how much Tether printed. As of yesterday, it was also $13 billion. $13 billion. $13 billion. $13 billion. Oh, $13 billion. For example, in the March peaks, it was around 9 to 10 billion at its peak. And now let's move to the next chart and see how much of this money that Tether printed went, not to some wallets just in case. Let's hold on. And directly to the exchange. So now, out of the $13 billion, almost 12 billion went to the exchange. That is, practically all the money went to the exchange. They are all in circulation. This is new fresh liquidity, when in March, out of the 9 billion printed, only 3 billion were on the exchange at the peak. 3 times less, 30%. Therefore, such a level of liquidity on such a heavy asset as Bitcoin, at $100,000, which is hard to move, means not all of it will go into Bitcoin. So there is no point. They will be distributed among altcoins. That is, they will go where the liquidity chain leads. The next coins are easier to move. They will go into Solana, they will go into Ethereum, they will go into Dogecoin, and they will go, well, a lot has already gone into memes, but most likely they will continue to go into memes, including Pepe, for example. I think they will go there as well. They will likely go into Shiba, they will go into Floki, into such coins. And into all the old coins that are more or less significant and have some promising technology for the future that might appeal to someone. Such coins like Cardano, Link. Ethereum, Okay, Ethereum is not from this category. Perhaps someday IOTA will be, perhaps it will be some Conflux, Starknet, something like that. Well, DOT, of course. Neo perhaps will be revived from its semi-dead state. Such coins. All this money will go there later. And since they are very light right now for such a volume of money, they will be pumped up on, well, not by hundreds, of course, but by tens. So we will definitely see some X's, in my opinion. Because of such a volume of money supply, and even if in March the same DOT made 3 to 4x from the bottom, then with such a volume of liquidity, why shouldn't it reach at least the middle of the last dash in 2021, around 20 to 25, the range of 21 to 25? This is roughly the situation I see with altcoins right now. That's why I don't sell them much and only partially take profits from those that are skyrocketing catastrophically, like Solana or Cardano. That's it. That's my opinion on the market. I won't drag it out, as I said at the beginning. Thank you all. This was Mozart, and goodbye to everyone.